Hello class, I welcome you all to this session. We are going to discuss about companies in this class. So under forms of business organizations, we have done sole proprietorship and also partnership. We have to discuss about joint stock companies. Now we have to see what are the features, merits, demerits, types of companies, difference between a private company and a public company, one person company, formation of a company, stages and important documents. Company is governed by the Companies Act 2013. As per the section 2 subsection 20 of Companies Act, a company means company incorporated under this act or any other previous company law. Please pay attention. Company incorporated under this act means that is the 2013 act or any other previous company law. In sense, prior to 2013, what is the act? For example, the Companies Act 1956. So when or even prior to that, whatever act or company law that was in force, so if the company is registered under those act, then it is called as a company. Shareholders are the owners of the company. The management is in the hands of the board of directors. See, owners are the persons who contribute capital towards any business. The ownership in joint stock company is slightly different. You can see that owners contribute capital, but the management is in the hands of board of directors. Now there is a difference here. Owners cannot manage the business. That is, all the owners who have contributed capital cannot manage the business. It's only the persons who are elected as the board of directors can manage the business. Capital are divided in smaller parts called shares. They can be further classified, that is the shares or share capital can be further classified as equity share capital and preference share capital. Okay, so this is about a brief introduction about companies. In the next slide, we will be looking into what are the features. The first feature, as you can see, is a separate legal entity. What is a separate legal entity? Now in the diagram, the company is separated from its shareholders. That is, it is separated from its owners. Owners are otherwise called as shareholders. Shareholders are otherwise called as members. So incorporation means it is the process, it is the second stage of registration. Okay, once the company is incorporated, it has its own identity in the eyes of law. So it acquires an identity distinct from its members. It has its own assets and liabilities which are separate from the assets and liabilities of its owners, that is the shareholders. So company can have its own assets, its own liability. Okay. The second feature is artificial person. Now who is an artificial person? Is it a robot? No, we are not meaning in that sense. What you have to understand is person are created by God. That is, the natural persons are created by God, but company is an artificial person. That's why in the accounting we treat any organization as an artificial person. Okay, they are the creations of law. Like they are created by law, they can be dissolved only by law. Dissolved in sense, they can be closed only by law. So like natural persons, company can own property, incur debts, borrow money, enter into contracts, sue and be sued. Okay, so this is all about artificial persons. So what do you mean by sue and be sued? The company can file case against any person, any other person can file case against the company. Okay, so these are the there are some few terms that can be used for artificial persons. Okay, you can just refer. Two pigeons are speaking, you can just read it. The next features are formation. It is time consuming. What is time consuming? The process is long. It is not as easy as a sole proprietorship or a partnership firm to be established. Company takes time. It is expensive process and it is complicated in nature. It has to comply with several legal requirements. Establishing a company requires a submission of series of documents, that is a bunch of documents that needs to be approved by the authorities. Once that approval is being done, it has to go for signing by various authorities. After signature, the company has to take steps to acquire capital. After capital only they can commence business. So this is you can see a model here, a diagram. Formation of company, there are simple 4 steps that's given. Under that itself you have several sub steps, but I'm just covering the simple 4 steps. Formation stage is done by the promoter of the company. Promoter is a person who actually promotes the company. He has a vision for the company to get established, and he develops the mission and vision of the company. So he takes all the pains of forming a company. So that is the formation stage. Under the formation stage, the company will not have any legal identity. Once the company is incorporated, it acquires its legal identity. So incorporation stage is all about that. And then moving forward to the capital raising, once the certificate of incorporation is being given by the registrar of company. Who is the registrar of the company? He is a person who maintains the name of companies that's registered under him. So he is basically an authority who gives the approval of starting a particular company. So he grants the certificate of incorporation. After that, there is the raising of capital. So capital is being raised through equity, preference shares or debts. So it depends on the company's decision. Whatever the capital structure it wants to take in, it can take in. And after that you have the commencement of business stage. So this is for the public limited companies. For private companies, they can just start the business at the incorporation stage itself, because logically they do not have to raise capital from public. So that's the reason. So these 3 points I am sure that you are getting: separate legal entity, artificial person and formation. The next stage is the perpetual succession. The next feature, perpetual succession. What is perpetual? Perpetual means forever. See, members may come and go, but the company will go on forever. So that is the beauty of company. Even though all members of the company are being killed or being dead in an accident or anything for that matter, there will be another set of members who will actually take over the company and run the company. So it has perpetual succession. A company being a creation of law can be brought to an end only by law. This point we have already told. So as an artificial person, it is created by law. It can be dissolved or wound up with the help of legal proceedings. So closure of company is otherwise called as winding up of the company. So that's why in accounting you have the going concern concept. Going concern is, the concern is assumed to go on forever. There is no assumption that we will close the company within few years or things like that. at least for 10 years, or for a long time, long term, company will go on. The fifth point is control. Control is, see, management and affairs of the company are being managed by the board of directors. So who has the control? Who has the decision making authority? It is the board. Who are board of directors? They are a bunch of elected powerful people in the company. That is, they may have the huge ownership stake. They may have own a lot of shares, which gives them the power to actually take up this particular management and affairs of the particular company. So, and or they may be a specialist in management, they may be a specialist in administration. So based on their qualification and their experience, company appoints them as a board member. So they are entrusted with the responsibility of managing the affairs of the company. So authority, there is always responsibility that has to come. Shareholders do not have the right to involve in the day-to-day business of company. Now you may ask me a question, ma'am, you told shareholders are the owners of the company. In sole proprietorship concern, in partnership concern, the person, whoever is the owner of the business, will take up the management. But here it is different. Yes, in company it is different. There is a divorce between the owners and the management of the company. Two are different people. So imagine shareholders may be huge in number. Say for example, there are 10,000 shareholders. 10,000 shareholders, if we give those entire shareholders the the opportunity of managing the company, it will be a utter chaos, because they may be in different locations, geographical location. One may be in Kashmir, one may be in Karnataka, one may be in Kashmir, one may be in Mumbai, one may be in Kanyakumari. We do not know. The management will become worse. They cannot manage. In the shareholders meeting itself, every time the company will conduct an annual general meeting. Under that meeting, shareholders, they have to come, either attend through electronic mode or physically come. The participation in that itself is very low practically. So you cannot expect them to come into the picture of control and managing the affairs of the company. So it's been given to the board of directors. The next feature is the liability. The company has limited liability. You can see a shark biting a man's trying to bite a man. So in sole proprietorship, as far as the partnership is also concerned, the liability is unlimited. That means the personal assets of the owner of the business can be brought into the business to pay off the debts of the business. But in company, it is total contrary. The liability of the members is limited to the extent of the capital contributed by the shareholders. That is, suppose for example, Mr. Ramesh is the shareholder of Tata Limited. He owns 1,000 shares of rupees 100 each, on which rupees 70 is paid per share, which means out of the 100 rupees per share, he has paid 70 rupees, which means he has to pay 30 more rupees to the company. Beyond that, he is not liable even for a single rupee. Okay, so 1,000 shares into 100, 1 lakh will be his total liability for the company. Beyond that, the company cannot ask even a rupee from the shareholder. Okay, so this is the beauty of the company. So this is one major advantage of company, both for the shareholder as well as for the company. Why for the company? Because the company gets a lot of people to contribute capital this form. One person contributing 10 lakhs and 100 people contributing 10 lakhs is different. So the company's capital structure has to decide on what is the ratio of shareholders. All these things is the affairs of the management. So right now we will understand that limited liability is a feature of company. So liability of the members is limited to the extent of the capital contributed by the shareholders. Creditors can only use the assets of the company to settle their claims, which means the company's asset can only be brought into the picture of settling the creditors, not the private assets of the shareholders. So you can read here, limited liability means the owners or shareholders only lose their value or their investment in the business if the business goes bankrupt. Bankrupt means if the business is in a bad financial shape. They are not personally liable for any debts of the company. The next feature is the common seal. Now every person, individual person has a signature, like which company also has signature, which is called as common seal. So common seal is those a seal, generally a seal. In school also you can see that in your mark statement or important documents, a progress report or something like very important, the seal of the the school along with the signature of the principal will be there. Similarly, in company setup also, any important documents, you need to find the seal of the company along with the authorized signatories, that is the person authorized by the board to sign this document. So that signature will be there. So previous company law had made this, that is the Companies Act 1956 had made common seal compulsory. But the Companies Act 2013 says that you may or may not have a common seal. I'm not bothered about the common seal, but for important documents alone you can have the seal along with the signature. Or if you feel that this particular thing is not essential, the seal is not essential, only the board signature is enough. The person concerned authorized signature is enough. So this is the latest amendments that we are having. But most of the agreements or any important stuff, you can find the seal of the company. In the picture also you can find that red color symbol. It is the seal of the company along with the signature of the dignitaries in the company, that is the board. So if the company does not have common seal, then the person signing the document should be authorized by a board's resolution. Now every meeting they will pass a resolution. So in that resolution they will decide who will sign, which will be mutually agreed by the shareholders as well as the board members. Okay, so this is all about common seal. The eighth point is that risk bearing. Risk bearing means in case of financial risks, all shareholders in a company have to contribute to the debts to the extent of their share in the company's capital. Now, risk bearing is whatever is my share capital. I would have subscribed so much of shares, only to that amount I will be liable to be paying. More than that, I will not pay. I will not bear the risk. So, risk of loss is spread over a large number of shareholders. So, you can find that the person whoever is walking, he is actually trying to balance and take risk. Okay, so it is the decision of the shareholders. How much ever risk he wants to take, he wants to invest in that particular and take risk, he can take. There is no compulsion as such. Okay, so the risk is widespread among the large number of people. So it is also one of the feature. Now moving forward, we will discuss some merits, that is the advantages of a company. I will not take more than 5 minutes. So you can just pay attention. One is the limited liability. So as we saw that the company has limited liability, the extent on amount unpaid on shares. The personal property of the shareholders are free from any charge. The second point is transfer of interest. Transfer of interest for a public limited company is free. That is, the shares of the public limited company can be sold in the stock exchange without any restrictions and easily converted into cash. But in terms of private company, this task is little tedious. It cannot be done that way. So transfer of interest as far as public limited company is concerned, it is freely transferred. Third one is perpetual existence, that is a perpetual succession. The death or retirement or resignation or insolvency or insanity of its members will not affect the existence of the company. It can be liquidated only by the law, that is as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013. The scope for expansion, that is, scope for expansion is very bright, because the amount of capital that can be raised by a public company is huge. It can raise a lot of company when compared to sole proprietorship or partnership concern. So once this financial aspect is sorted out, you can actually look in for various expansion projects. So if you are trying to expand or diversify your business, company setup is the most suitable organization for you. The fifth one is professional professional management. A company can professional management, as far as this is concerned, you have a separate board for the managing the affairs of the company. A company can afford to pay higher salary to specialists and professionals. Okay, so higher salary is not a big commitment for the company. It can very well afford higher salary for specialists and professionals. This attract a good form of management techniques into the organization, and the division of work is possible. So the experts are there. The balanced decision making is done with great efficiency. So these are all the merits. So I thank you all for listening to this lecture. So any doubts you can ask me very well in the class. I always want my children to think positive and to be positive. Okay, thank you class.